Hello, this is Hickmott. How are you today? In my last video, I recommended a sleep journal. I do hope you've managed to start your sleep journal, and have you noticed any patterns? So welcome to the third module in our Sleep Day Summit. I hope you've enjoyed our introduction to why sleep isn't a waste of time and how significant sleep deprivation can be to your health. Now it's time to get some invaluable techniques to start improving your sleep. First thing is making time to sleep and deciding how many hours sleep you want, which for adults is normally somewhere between 7 and 9 hours. The first thing to do is to create a 24-hour sleep schedule, which enables you to reset your circadian rhythm to being exactly how you want it with a bit of practice. Start with when you want to wake up with the sun in the morning. Calculate what time you want to get to sleep. Then include wind down time. Wind down time is really important. It might be you taking a bath, reading, listening to music, or lights dimmed. Sunlight exposure and exercise in the morning is great for something like 30 to 60 minutes, but it must be at least 2 to 3 hours before going to bed. You'll need to avoid caffeine, nicotine, chocolate, and some teas in the afternoon. In the case of caffeine, it takes up to 8 hours to wear off. And decaffeinated coffee isn't always caffeine-free. Avoid alcoholic drinks before going to bed. Quite often people think having a drink before they go to bed has a positive effect, but heavy use of alcohol before going to bed will rob you of REM sleep, which is so significant. And you can wake up in the middle of the night or too early in the morning. So it disturbs your night's sleep profile. Avoid large meals and beverages late at night, which might cause indigestion, many trips to the bathroom, or a sugar spike if diabetic. Avoid medicines that delay or disrupt your sleep. Now, if it's prescription medicine, you'll need to discuss this with your doctor and see whether you can take these medications at a different time of the day. But if it's over-the-counter medications for coughs and colds, see if you can take them at a different time of the day. Don't take naps after 3 p.m. because then it'll be harder to fall asleep at night. And stick to your sleep schedule. The same day each day. Even set an alarm to go off to remind you when to start winding down. Repetition is the way to train your circadian rhythms. I can't stress that enough, and you have to stick to it. It takes time, and you have to be patient with yourself because you're giving yourself a new routine. Now let's try initiating sleep. Look at your schedule. Start your wind down time to relax. You need to relax before bed. For children, you might do a jigsaw, colouring, Play-Doh. For adults, perhaps reading or listening to music. So many people hit the pillow without a wind down time, and then all their thoughts come crashing in. Gentle breathing in and out through your nose, right down into your belly. If you just concentrate on your breath, you'll find that really relaxing. Maximum relaxation is right down into your belly. You can create anchors and fire the anchors. They might be things like when you switch out the light, it's an anchor to fall asleep. When you get into bed, it's an anchor to feel more and more drowsy. So you can fire those anchors. Dark or red light in the room and blackout curtains at night. As I've said before, it's really important to not have bright white light. So you need to turn down the light, make it darker. You can use red light or orange light. They will all increase melatonin and blackout curtains. Too much bright light reduces your melatonin. Even if it's a trip to the bathroom, it will reduce your melatonin. Artificial light has changed our world to the detriment of sleep. Now you can take a hot bath before you go to bed, so that when you get into bed in a cool room, your temperature will drop, releasing melatonin. You may sometimes experience times when putting your feet out of bed will cool you down. This again drops your core temperature that is needed for sleep. Heat goes out through your hands and feet, or as a last resort, it may appear as bodily sweat. Don't lie in bed awake, especially if you're tossing and turning. It's advised to get up and do something mundane until you feel sleepy. Banish anxiety earlier in the day. You don't want to be dealing with that when you get into bed. And especially to curfew electronic equipment at least an hour before trying to go to sleep. If you've got a clock in your bedroom, it's a good idea to turn it around so you don't know what time it is. No cell phones and iPads. If you really can't do without those, there is a really useful night shift on most phones and tablets. It's the blue light that keeps you awake, because the blue light is on electronic equipment and your brain goes, oh, it's time to get up. So it's not going to want to go to sleep. Do read magazines because they've got short articles in them rather than reading a whole book in bed that you might get hooked into wanting to finish. Grounding can calm a very busy mind, so you just think down into the ground, think about your whole body being connected to the ground, just as it would be if you were lying on the grass outside. And for something like jet lag, grounding can really help. Now, staying asleep. This is the next thing. Now, some of the things are exactly the same as initiating sleep. So you avoid bright lights, including on your way to the bathroom, because this will drop your melatonin level, and a red light really works, or you can get really small lights that you have in the lobby so that you don't fall over. I don't want any accidents as you're trying to go to the bathroom, but do try and do something to reduce the ambient light. If you've got a busy brain, it's really useful to have a pen and paper by your bed so that you can write down anything important. If it's not important, then you can just ask it to go away and try and concentrate on one thing, which preferably is just your breathing. Make sure the environment is the same during sleep as it was when you went to bed. This is really, really important, and I learnt this one when my son was young. If you go to bed with the lights on and somehow magically the lights turn off during the night, then when you come to the next sleep cycle, you will probably wake up and be distressed because you won't understand why the lights have gone off. So please try and make sure that you and your children have a consistent sleep environment from when you go to sleep and when you are asleep in the middle of the night. Try to stop worrying about being asleep. The more thoughts we have, such as I should be asleep, the less likely we are to fall asleep, and try not to clock watch. Gentle nasal diaphragmatic breathing, as I mentioned before, in initiating sleep. And what you want to do is get rid of all those unwanted thoughts and emotions and physical sensations associated with not sleeping, and then in the ensuing struggle with them, which heightens your arousal level and perpetuates sleeplessness. You don't want to beat yourself up, telling yourself that you must go to sleep. You want to just try and calm down, relax, and then sleep will happen. I just want to give you a quick reminder on nasal diaphragmatic breathing. This is a simple technique focused on and slowing down your breathing patterns. It can be particularly helpful for those who feel dizzy or lightheaded during the day or have got a racing brain at night. First thing to do is to shut your mouth. The second thing is to breathe in through your nose for something like 3 seconds, right down into your belly, and then breathe out through your nose for say 5 seconds. You always breathe out for slightly longer than you breathe in because that gets you more relaxed. And then ideally you should pause for about 2 seconds. And it can be helpful to count as you do this, or just let yourself fade away into sleep. So you go in breath 1, 2, 3, out breath 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause 1, 2. Repeat this for as long as possible. You should begin to feel more relaxed. There is lots of information on mindfulness to help you calm a busy brain. I've given you a couple of techniques, but mindfulness is the ability to notice what's happening, what thoughts are passing through your brain, without getting attached to them. So you're not being judgmental about them, you're not being connected to them and trying to follow them through. You're just going, I thought of that, fine, I'll let it go. If you need additional help, you can be referred to a sleep clinic by your GP. There is something called the sleepfoundation.org, which has got lots of useful information on it. And a couple of the resources I've used during lockdown to improve my understanding of sleep. One is Matthew Walker's Why We Sleep. He's the founder and director of the Center of Human Sleep Science in Berkeley, California, and he's got loads of YouTubes, and that's his book. And then Future Learn has also got a sleep program, which is free to anybody who wants to participate over the internet. Finally, I'd just like to say, what would a good night's sleep be like for you? What would it be like for your child? And keep reinforcing the message. So what would it, VAKOG is visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. So when you're trying to visualize what a good night's sleep would be like, first of all, think about what it would look like, what it would look like for you, what it would sound like, what kinesthetically it would feel like, and what it would taste like and smell like. So keep reinforcing that message of what you want for a good night's sleep. And unlike the little chap lying in there in bed, a good night's sleep you'll find is better when you're lying on your side and you're not snoring. So good night from me and all the other contributors to this Sleep Summit Day. And don't forget the Sleep Diary. And do come back and ask us if you've got any questions. That's my contact details for any questions you might have. Have a good night's sleep.